Hello guys, welcome to the channel. So today we are going to talk about properties, right? A lot of you guys know I came to Ghana about almost 4 years now. Can you believe that? I've been in Ghana for almost 4 years now. And right now I am actually standing at Prampram, where I have a lot of properties for sale and some for myself. But today the subject is just to show you guys this beautiful property that I have that I just walled. These are title lands. But before we dive into this property, I want us to go back and look at certain things, right? I know a lot of people are scared of properties in Ghana. Buying land in Ghana could be scary, which I quite understand. I mean, if you're looking at my history, I went through the court system for almost 2 years and I won. So there's a couple of things that I want to make straight. The law works in Ghana. If you are buying something that's genuine, it belongs to the right people, people can try to bully you or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the truth will prevail. That's one. Two, sometimes you just don't know what you are dealing with, right? Because people are buying land and they are building in Ghana. So sometimes you are not well informed. But as human beings, it's really hard for us to sometimes take blame for something that we had nothing to do with, like according to our common sense. And I understand that. But that happens to be the case in Ghana. You have to understand the terrain that you are in. Okay, buying land in Ghana is not black and white. There is more work to be done other than, the paperwork that you see. So this is why I personally took it upon myself after understanding the system down here on the ground to hold your hands and sell you genuine properties in Ghana. And I've done so for a lot of people in the past 2 years. Now, I always do something that's quite unique. Is whenever I go to a place where I'm selling properties to people, I get one for myself, right? Because I am not a chief. Every land that you see me selling, it came from somebody. I had to pay for it. I had to go into partnership for it, for me to have access to that land, all right? So when I say I got some for myself, means I took that out of whatever deal it was, out of whatever company it was, and now it's in my name, me and my wife to be exact. So this amazing property that I have here is 1.5 plot. I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do with it. I just got it just to let you guys know that it is safe out here, that you can buy this title land, build a wall, and you're not going to have any wahala at all. So this is my personal land, which has been constructed in the past week. I'm not done yet. I'm going to continue it. But another thing I do is when I sell you land, I actually help you build walls around it. I'm going to continue this wall as I come and build more walls here for some of my clients. Now, to build a wall, there's a couple of things that you need, right? Depending on the soil type. For Afinia, our soil type is kind of clay, so you gotta make sure your wall is very solid, right? Because the clay cracks and all that, so you gotta make sure your work is solid. For Afinia walls, we use iron rods throughout. We don't use anything called cross section. Now cross section is like, the block you can do multiple ways in between where the iron rod is supposed to be. Instead, you use blocks. It's called cross section. We use cross section for a couple of reasons, right? Because if you're using a pillar, first of all, you have to buy the iron rods, you have to buy a board, you have to bring the carpenter. It's a little bit more expensive, but nothing crazy. But this area where we are right now is we are not too far from the beach because we are Prampram. It's actually about 5 minutes drive to the beach. So the soil content is pretty good, and so you don't necessarily need iron rods throughout, but I would do it for my client. But for myself, I did cross section for the most part. Yes, so I'm standing on this land. My land is not 1 plot, it's 1.5 plot actually. What do I plan on doing on this land? I have absolutely no idea, but because we are close to the beach and looking at how breezy it is here, it reminds me of the mountains, which is Eastern region, the Bree and stuff like that. That's where I'm from. Very breezy because it's actually supposed to be very sunny, but yeah, it's very breezy here. So I think in the long run, not today, I'm thinking about 10 years from now, I have no idea what I'm going to do on this land, but I'm probably going to put up a very nice 2 to 3 bedroom house. Very small, like probably in the corner over there, and just have a whole bunch of greenery around it. That's what I'm going to do, use it as a vacation spot for the most part. That's what I'm thinking. Or I might end up reselling it later on. Who knows? But I have no intentions of selling now. However, if you're interested in land in this area, I do have plenty available for you. I have about 18 acres of land left. If you multiply that by 5, that's the number of plots we have available for you. People will say a lot of things about properties in Ghana. Is it lease? Is it freehold? This is actually leased land. It's not the end of the world yet, guys. I gave a thorough education on somebody's channel about 2 weeks ago why Ghana lease system actually makes sense to me, right? Because check it out. Freehold was a thing, right? But there was always leasehold in existence since back in time. Now, the reason why they decided to take the freehold power out of the chief's hands is this. I was actually talking to a lawyer who was part of the people that, came up with the Law Act in Ghana for 2020. Now, the reason why they chose to take the power of freehold from the chief's hand is, let's say me, Rush, I am a chief Rush. I'm very greedy and I'm entitled to 5,000 acres in my lineage. I'm a chieftain of that town, and my ancestors that came before me, they weren't greedy. They barely sold any of these lands. Let's say they had over 20,000 acres in total. For the past 5 generations, they've managed to sell only 15. It's left with 5,000, which is, what I'm in charge of right now. Now, since I'm greedy, I became a chief and I went bananas, right? I'm gonna go ahead and sell out all the properties forever. That's what freehold is. I'm selling forever and that's the end of it. And we are doomed to eternity. Now, there's been issues in the past where this happened and then the community are suffering because, believe it or not, land is kind of like the biggest source of income for, the traditional council and the chiefs and all that. It's the biggest source of funding. So they decided to create something that the future generations will get something. Now, when it expires, you are not here to buy the land over again. You are here to pay a percentage calculated by the land commissions, right? And a chief cannot come to you and say, your lease is up, so get out of this house. Ghana is not that stupid. We are not that crazy. You know how many people will be homeless? It is not going to happen. What happens is there is a chart, right? It's a calculation. You can look at it as your property tax accumulated over time, and it's nothing crazy. I have a friend who pays $16,000 in New York a year for property taxes. When I multiply that by 99 years, or 1.5 million something, you are not paying that, my friend. 99 years comes, you are paying 10% or something, barely even paying $10,000. This is the reality on the ground. It is not the end of the world, but it is not forever, right? And on top of it, there is additional benefit to the community in the leasehold system, known as ground rent. Now, ground rent is kind of like, I wouldn't call it property taxes, but it's some sort of a tax to the council, to the people who own the land, to the allodial owners. Now, your ground rent is, this area is 100 cedis a year. 100 cedis a year. Afenia is 200 cedis per plot a year. Now, when you do the math, right, that's about $8 at the end of the year you got to pay out. So when I bought my car wash, they hadn't paid for 10 years. So I had to pay 2,000 cedis, I remember. So when I did the math, it was at 200 cedis per, that's what it was. It's not the end of the world, guys. Like, it is really not a big deal. So don't overthink these things. Really don't. I mean, getting freehold is something sweet. It's something that makes people sleep well at night. But at the same time, we do have to think about, the chiefs and the country. They can't sell it out forever. So the leasehold actually makes sense to take the power out of the chief's hand. Now, let me tell you something. In law, there is something known as you can only give what you have. So we have a leasehold in this area, actually 80 years, and it's left with 73 years in this very land that I'm standing on. I cannot give you more than I have. If I do that, it will be criminal. It's illegal. Therefore, if you're buying this land, you have 73 years left on this lease. Now, we got to renew. It's automatically renewable for additional 30 years. If you go to a chief and you buy land right now, the chief cannot give you freehold. If the chief gives you freehold, it is illegal. That power has been taken away from the chiefs. The only person who can give you freehold is an individual like myself who bought a freehold interest in the past, and I'm selling it to a Ghanaian. I emphasize that. I'm selling the land, my freehold interest, because remember, you can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. And since I have the freehold and the power hasn't been taken out of my hands, I can pass that land on to somebody else who's buying. The law, let that fly. Like what has happened in the past can stay in the past, but we are not going to create no freehold moving forward. Basically, that's what it was. Now, luckily enough, some people have been fortunate to still be able to buy the, the freehold. I mean, I presented this teak tree farmland, 220 acres, which was actually freehold because the owner bought in 2001 and it was freehold and somebody scooped it up. 2 people bought the whole 220 acres and the land was gone in a matter of a month. Now, I have another property in a Bree 3 Plus, which is actually being worked on in the land commission right now due to some discrepancies. I'm fixing it up. It is also freehold. Now, what happened in the past, you can get lucky. By setting out to look for only freehold land in Ghana, it's going to be difficult. You can be lucky and get a few from here and there, but you're not going to get it from the chiefs. You're only going to get it from an individual who had it in the past and is willing to sell. So the land system in Ghana is pretty much leasehold for the most part. 85% to 90% of the land in the market is leasehold. This is the reality on the ground, and you face it or not. And this is not new. Leasehold has been in existence for a long time, but like I said, the chiefs still had authority and the power to give freehold if they please, but they don't anymore. If you like my stuff, you want to buy land, you've been scared, I give guarantee money back. I've been selling land to a lot of people. I have proof for you that we work in peace. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, my link is in the description below. Reach out to me at Russian Properties, and then we can get your property sorted out. And I can also build a wall for you. Then, you know, we can probably do a design for you and build a house for you. All of that, all under one umbrella.